Good evening, everybody. So, week five, second post. This one, we are supposed to pick a movie that we've watched in the past and have two concepts from each chapter and how scenes from the movie can illustrate or explain each of the concepts from chapter 7 or 8. So, I picked the movie Outsourced for chapter 7, page 41, section 2.3. It talks about pop culture and folk culture. There's a scene where Todd goes to the McDonald's, or he seeks out a McDonald's. That was the pop culture that popped right in my head right away. Uh, in hopes to get a veggie burger. However, he's in India and he was unaware that in India they do not eat beef, right? Or meat in general. So instead, he got a veggie burger because that's the Indian pop culture, folk, actual folk culture. It's within their um, religion beliefs of not consuming cattle. Um, there's also the paint festival, which is kind of part of the folk culture, uh, kind of illustrating, the and I think I mentioned this on my other video. In Brazil, we have a lot of different festivals in Brazil. Carnaval, we have Réveillon, and so on and so forth. So that kind of illustrated that piece in there. And then the second topic was the counterculture. So throughout the movie, you see counterculture from Todd uh, against the Indian culture, right? He's having that conflict of constantly trying to say, "Hey, this is how we do it in America," or that's not the right way. So he's constantly having that battle countering the Indian culture. Um, so yeah, those are my two topics from chapter 7. Going on to chapter 8, section 3.1, it talks about affiliation. Uh, involved, uh, involved within a culture, representation of membership, or some type like wearing something where it says, "Hey, now I feel like I've been accepted enough. This is how I'm gonna dress up. This is how I'm gonna behave within this new culture." Basically, that you are within it. Uh, so Todd was accepted by his neighbor. His neighbor actually invited him over to eat with his family. He actually sat down, ate the way he was supposed to, showing them, this is what I'm doing. Thank you, type of thing. And then the other one was his friend that brought him, the coworker, right, that brought him in. Was kind of showing him around throughout the movie. He brought him in um, to the culture. They went, "Hey, I'm sorry, there's this paint festival," but after that, they got really kind of like brother relationship, and you start seeing Todd, uh, pardon me, dress up. He had the traditional shirt, and he's taking his shoes off, so on and so forth. And then the second one, which actually took me a while to figure out, or kind of pick apart to be part of this. Chapter 8, it talks a lot about social media. Oh, hello. Excuse me. Sorry. Um, they talk about, where was I? Oh, the second topic for chapter 8. It was really hard for me to find this or make a connection within the movie because I felt like in that movie or the time frame there was not a whole lot of social media happening. Um, I didn't see a lot of like like actual um, smartphones. Not a whole lot of computers on there. So it was really hard for me to find one to try to make a connection. So this fourth one is uh, hegemonic masculinity. Wow, words are not coming to me. Hegemonic masculinity. There you go. Figured it out. Male display male public display of dominance. So this one is a bit of a stretch for me, like I said before. But this one, I felt like when Todd first meets Auntie and her husband is in the background, and she's trying to explain to him how to eat with his hands, which one not to use. And her husband just gets up and just like, you know what? I'm just gonna explain to this dude. And she keeps telling him, hey, don't do this, don't do this. And then the other part, scene that I thought maybe was that was when Todd starts actually getting somewhat like not necessarily aggravated, but his emotions start getting a little riled up. This is when him and Asha were discussing her wedding arrangements. Yeah, because she was so young and she was already promised to somebody, and he was feeling, some feelings towards her, and he was like, "Why? He's being with me." So I kind of took that a little more, kind of again a little bit of a stretch, but and then just to wrap the second post, adding any insights you think you might now have after considering concepts of the film as a whole. That movie kind of illustrated to me a lot of my past experiences, not for me, but for other people that I've been in other countries, other cultures within the military. A lot of people acted like that, and going through all of these chapters, it kind of put a lot of things um, to perspective. Um, there is this sense of bravado or mentality in the U.S. where people just think that they're above it all, type of thing. Not all of them, obviously. Um, not my cup of tea by any means. Um, but it's a different perspective when you start deep diving into a lot of these other cultures. And you take the time to understand and respect it, and you actually come to find out that there's a lot more in common. And I've mentioned this throughout this quarter, where I have a couple of coworkers. One of them in which is from born and raised in Nigeria, and I talked to him for quite some time, in a lot of trips, and him and I actually have a lot in common. And we were born and raised in two completely different continents. So if people take this all of these chapters, concepts, and think about all of this stuff before they go into a country, I think it would be a lot better experience because been to Europe, um, Japan. I was in Korea, and you just take the time to get to know these people, and be humble enough to accept their culture the way it is, and you you know just kind of put uh, your, your own pride kind of to the side a little bit. But yeah, that's all I got for everybody. Hope you guys have a good night.